Breaking news. Canada makes bold economic moves, challenging U.S. trade dominance. In a strategic development reshaping global trade, Canada is orchestrating a significant shift in international commerce, potentially redirecting billions away from U.S. trade routes. Prime Minister Trudeau's recent meetings with NATO and EU leaders focused on an ambitious economic agenda. The timing is calculated. While the U.S. remains entangled in complex trade negotiations with China and others, Canada positions itself as a more stable alternative for European markets. The numbers are impressive. Since CETA's implementation in 2017, Canada-EU trade has surged from $90 billion to $120 billion annually. This agreement, eliminating tariffs on 99% of goods, has created a robust framework for transatlantic commerce. Despite the U.S. remaining Canada's primary trading partner, accounting for 75% of exports, Trudeau's government pursues diversification. The message to European businesses is clear. If you're looking to reduce dependence on American suppliers, Canada stands ready. This strategic pivot has significant implications. The European Union, with its market of 440 million consumers, presents an enormous opportunity. Even a 5 to 10% shift in European procurement towards Canadian suppliers could redirect billions in trade flows annually. Key sectors poised for growth include aerospace, Canadian manufacturers competing with U.S. components. Energy, expanding oil and gas exports. Agriculture, enhanced market access. Technology, growing bilateral innovation partnerships. For European businesses, this represents an opportunity to decrease reliance on traditional supply chains while maintaining North American market access through a stable partner. The move signals Canada's growing confidence in challenging the established economic order, potentially reshaping transatlantic trade patterns for decades. Industry analysts suggest this could mark the beginning of a new era in global trade relationships, with Canada emerging as a more prominent player in international commerce. Breaking news. Global trade dynamics shift as Canada emerges as key European partner. In a significant development reshaping international trade relations, Canada's positioning as an alternative trade partner for Europe is creating waves in the global economic landscape. This shift could challenge America's long-standing economic influence over NATO allies. The United States has maintained military and economic dominance within NATO, controlling crucial sectors from manufacturing to agriculture. However, European nations are now actively seeking to diversify their supply chains beyond U.S. borders. The unpredictability of American trade policies has prompted European businesses to question U.S. partnerships, explains Dr. James Morrison, an international trade expert. Energy security has emerged as a critical factor. With geopolitical tensions affecting major energy suppliers, European nations are seeking new sources of oil and LNG. Canada, with its vast resources and stability, has positioned itself as a dependable alternative. The transformation requires years of planning and implementation. The United States faces a balancing act, maintaining influence while avoiding actions that might accelerate Europe's pivot toward Canadian suppliers. The U.S. might respond through tariffs or new incentives. The 2018 steel and aluminum tariffs on allies serve as a reminder of potential U.S. reactions. However, experts warn aggressive measures could backfire. The EU's growing relationship with Canada provides leverage in negotiations with both the U.S. and China, demonstrating Europe's capacity to expand partnerships. This multilateral approach represents a significant shift in global trade dynamics. As this situation unfolds, the outcome could reshape transatlantic economic relations for decades, establishing new patterns of trade that better reflect today's multipolar economy. The question remains, can the United States adapt without damaging relationships with allies? The era of uncontested American economic dominance may be drawing to a close. Breaking news. Canada's bold move challenges U.S. economic dominance. In a significant shift, Canada is actively working to reduce its economic dependence on the United States, despite their $762 billion annual trade relationship. This strategic pivot could reshape North American trade dynamics and the global economic landscape. While 75% of Canadian exports still flow to the U.S., recent developments suggest a dramatic change may be on the horizon. The potential implementation of new U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods has raised concerns about supply chain disruptions, particularly in the automotive sector, where parts frequently cross the border during assembly. The stakes are high in the energy sector, where Canada, as a top natural gas and oil producer, is positioning itself as a reliable supplier to European markets. New LNG terminals are making transatlantic energy trade viable, potentially redirecting billions in energy commerce. NATO allies are watching closely, with smaller member states viewing Canada as a potential trade partner. The European Union, particularly Germany, France, and Italy, might pivot towards Canadian imports where competitive pricing and stability are key. This isn't about choosing sides, notes Dr. Sarah Thompson. It's about creating a more resilient global trade network. Canada's membership in both the Pacific Partnership and CETA demonstrates its commitment to reducing dependence on a single market. The technology and aerospace sectors could see disruption. While the U.S. maintains dominance in high-tech fields, Canada's growing aerospace industry and natural resources make it an attractive partner for European nations seeking to diversify supply chains. Sources suggest that even a modest shift in trade patterns could affect military and economic cooperation across the Atlantic Alliance. The question remains, will Washington respond with reconciliation or retaliation? Stay tuned for further developments on this evolving story that could reshape North American and transatlantic trade relations. In a significant shift in global trade dynamics, Canada is quietly positioning itself to challenge U.S. market dominance in Europe while facing considerable hurdles. Our analysis reveals the complexities of this evolving economic landscape. Despite being the world's 10th largest economy, Canada faces challenges in matching America's industrial might. The key question remains, can Ottawa guarantee comparable quality, volume, and reliability to effectively compete with U.S. suppliers? European companies considering Canadian products face a complex decision-making process. They must weigh logistics, delivery times, workforce considerations, and regulatory requirements. Supply chain disruptions could send them back to familiar U.S. suppliers. The potential impact is substantial. According to Eurostat, the EU imported $373 billion worth of goods from the U.S. in 2022, primarily in machinery, vehicles, and chemical products. If Canada captures just 5% of this market, it would represent a $20 billion shift, a significant blow to U.S. interests, particularly in aerospace and high-tech sectors. Washington faces a delicate balancing act. Implementing tariffs on Canadian goods could trigger a trade war within NATO, potentially weakening alliance unity when solidarity is essential. Offering financial incentives to European companies could face World Trade Organization scrutiny. The EU's strategic diversification efforts present an opportunity for Canada. European leaders seek to reduce dependence on single suppliers, whether the US, China, or Russia. Canada represents a stable alternative with fewer unilateral restrictions than its American counterpart. If Washington chooses non-intervention, Canada could continue developing relationships with Europe, Latin America, and Asia. While not an immediate revolution in global trade, the cumulative effect could significantly diminish U.S. economic influence, reshaping international trade patterns. Breaking news: Canada's bold economic chess move reshapes global trade. In a significant development, Canada is making strategic moves that could fundamentally alter international trade. Sources reveal two possible scenarios, with implications affecting everything from retirement savings to consumer prices. Let's break this down. First, Ottawa might be playing economic chess. They're strengthening ties with Europe, potentially to gain leverage with their biggest trading partner, the United States. It's like having another offer to negotiate a better deal. The second scenario suggests something more dramatic. Canada might be pivoting away from its traditional U.S. market reliance. In a world where economic dependencies can become political vulnerabilities, Canada appears to be diversifying its partnerships across continents. This mirrors developments in the northern Black Sea region, where economic alliances are proving as crucial as military ones. NATO might be a military alliance, but economic ties could reshape relationships more effectively. Whether this is a negotiating tactic or a long-term strategy shift, the global trading order is undergoing a seismic change, and the U.S. will need to adapt. While military alliances like NATO grab headlines, these quiet economic maneuvers might truly reshape our world. Canada's European strategy could signal a broader shift in how nations approach international trade relationships. Is Canada genuinely diversifying its partnerships, or is this clever negotiating with Washington? In today's interconnected world, these trade relationships affect everything from grocery bills to retirement portfolios. Stay informed and keep watching as this story develops. Until next time, this is your trusted source for global economic insights.